Hello. There we go. That didn't quite go to plan. I forgot I had to turn the microphone on. I noticed it didn't kick in the first time. Hello, good morning, good evening. How are you, wherever you are in the world? Welcome back to another Sunday, and it's another live stream, and I need to undo this. It's rather hot in here tonight. It really, really is. Hopefully you can now hear me. I can see it levels on my side, so hopefully it's all kicked in on your side as well. Thank you, GMI. Hello to everyone in the chat. I hope you are all safe and well. TS13FPV, Mike Bergman. Bruce, good evening, Bruce. Shalaik, how are you, my friend? Mr. Ram, Audio Gig FPV, Kazaloo, I can never say that one. Josh, hello, Josh, how are you? Snapshot Drones, how are you? Good evening, everyone. Oh, hello, Odis. I think it's Odis, or good evening, Aero Shoot FPV. Hey, hello, everyone. I hope you are all safe and well. So, tonight, what are we going to be talking about? Well, we're going to talk about the one thing that isn't in the headline, and that is a little bit on this Cadex comment, and I've calmed down a little bit since my rant on paper on that, and I'm going to just get rid of that top because it's a bit too warm. Don't need that tonight. We're going to talk a bit about this, and there is so much I want to say on this, but I have to be a bit careful because some of it was in private messages, some of it was really not for public consumption, but I have my take on this whole thing, which we're going to walk through tonight. We're also going to talk a bit about the AG01 minis because I finally fitted them. They are in, and I'll talk a little bit about them. The metal gimbals, they're all done. I did it yesterday, and there's going to be 2 videos coming on that. We're going to talk a bit about this FlyWoo thing. Although I've covered it already, I'm just going to... We'll have a little bit of a chat on that. I'm also going to talk about all of our favorite software that we use in FPV is open source. And I'm going to just talk a little bit about how you guys can support that, because it's always worth remembering that Betaflight, Express LRS, ArdraPilot, EmuFlight, and iNav, although I'm struggling to find a page for iNav, are all open source, and if you're using them, I would suggest you go and donate, and we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight as well, and we will talk about whatever else comes up in the stream too. Now, I'm also here to answer any questions you may have. If you want to make sure your question is seen, we do welcome super chats. I'm not saying I won't answer a question that hasn't got a super chat. I'm just saying if you want it to be seen, I'll try and answer it. I got to do a little bit better on answering questions tonight. Some great feedback we had from someone on the live stream was to take a bit more time with the questions, and we're going to do that. And if there's anything you guys want to know, please do let me know. Now, catching up on the chat, Otis saw that movie. I saw the new movie last night myself. I really enjoyed it. I don't know what people think. There's a brutal rant coming. Less so. I did watch the film last night. Sean Conley, when will the Whoop Light be released? It should be very shortly. They are double checking some things. That's all. There's nothing to be concerned about. They are double checking some stuff on manufacturing side of things. Nothing to do with the product, but just the manufacturing and out the door quality on it. They just want to make sure everything's perfect. I've not had any issues. There is new HDZero firmware today as well, which we will talk about. Runcam AG01. Typo in the title. What have I written? Let's have a look. I will need to correct that. I like putting typos. I'll edit it when the stream finishes. It shouldn't be long. That's just the thing. So I hope you've all had a great week. It's been an interesting one. For those who'd seen, we had Walksnail. No, we didn't. We had FlyWoo doing the pre-orders. Runcam AG01 Mini. FlyWoo Avatar HD pre-orders. Runcam AG01 Mini. What have I written then? FlyWoo Avatar HD pre-orders. And I'm just looking for the... Runcam. 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 I wasn't even seeing it when you were saying it. Runcam. Runcam Radiomaster. How did I get that one wrong? My brain was thinking of one thing. So, FlyWoo this week have sent out to say, hey, they're going to be shipping between the 15th and 25th. Today is the 12th. So technically, they could be shipping in 2 or 3 days. If we just go onto their website, they've got a bunch of stuff up there now as well, actually. They've got it as a much tidier page. They've got the Walksnail goggles coming soon, but they've sent an email out to people to say, hey, you can do it. And look at this. It says in stock. Really? Coming soon. In stock. So we're playing that game, are we? Scroll down. Does anyone see here where it says your product is entering a queue? Because I don't. All it says here is coming soon in stock. There is some frankly dodgy behavior from companies going on here with this, to say the least. Coming soon in stock is correct, Robin. Yeah, if you take it that way, yes. So we've got that up. They do look nice in grey. Looks an awful lot like DJI in that colour. We've then got the VTX with the camera, and actually, there's a bit of a better picture of the VTX now. Can you see? You can see the ports on either side now. On this side, so there's 2 ports. We've got the MIPI cable. So it's a bit of a picture, although it's a render. It's not an actual product. It's not an actual product. It is still renders to this day, and then that. So we've had them say they're taking the money. My actual pre-order with Walksnail Direct, I've had no comments on. Fat Shark orders have had no comments on. Right now, it is just FlyWoo. So it does lead you to think, is FlyWoo jumping the gun a little bit here? It does make you wonder. It does make you wonder, because Walksnail haven't reached out to their own pre-orders yet, let alone anyone else. But that could happen this week. There's been no news, as I've said already, for the Fat Shark guys. There's just nothing. The people who've paid in, you know, what's happening? My understanding is there's very little info out there anyone else knows. As far as I'm aware, there is none of the... as far as I'm aware, none of the KOLs... So I'm not saying any names, but no one has seen this still. No one has been sent it. No one has had access to this. It remains the same today as it was before. Now, there's been a bit of a stir this week with Cadex's response to a question that a user put online about canvas mode and when it's happening. Now, I haven't queued up the image for this, but it's in my video, and it's in my video for a purpose, because that image is held in time for all to see, and I did that on purpose. So if I go to YouTube a minute and bring this up, and in this video, I need to mute it. And I need to find the bit after I watch the ad on my own video. I made sure that I put up on the screen this. And it's here for prosperity, for everyone to see that the post on the 30th of July says, we are working on canvas mode currently. That is there. I made sure I put it in there so it could not go away. Now, Cadex's response to that user was, we have new system with canvas mode, or there is new system with canvas mode, whichever way you want to interpret that. Oh, my video is kicked back in. Now, a lot of people have got a bit upset over this, and I'll be honest, I was raving as well, but there is so much I wish I could say on this in the background, but I'm going to talk a little bit about it. I was involved in the sense of, when I made the video that says, do not buy the DJI FPV system because of this encryption and all of this, Cadex reached out to me over the encryption element, and then DJI reached out to me after. Now, I had some conversations with Cadex in the background with regards to various things, okay? And one of those conversations was canvas mode. And they asked me, do I know much about it? Do I have any information for them? Now, I can back up what I'm going to say with messages if I have to. This is 100% fact, okay? So I say, they came to me and said, do I know anything about it, as part of this conversation, as part of this crap storm over this encryption thing. So we had some talks. I reached out to Alex Yapu. Alex is a great guy. Alex was the one who's done many things in the background, the iNav script, all of that stuff, but he also got canvas mode, or well, a DisplayPort MSP is what we should be calling this, working in ArduPilot, and I sent him my digital FPV system to help him get started before the devs bought him one. He can back all of that up. That's fact. That's history, okay? So I reached out to Alex and said, hey, I've got someone here who would like to have a chat with you over canvas mode. Okay, now I can actually show that message. That one I can show. I just thought of that. There's no reason I can't show Alex's. I need to find it, but I can show that. And then I gave them the details of who to speak to at Cadex. Cadex replied afterwards when we were having a conversation back and forth saying, hey, yes, he sent us over loads of stuff. I've passed it on to the engineers. That's great. Okay, so timeline. They reached out. They spoke to me. I passed them information. That. Nothing at this point was publicly said. Okay, just note that. Nothing was said. The following day, I received the statement from DJI that I shared on this channel. That statement was that DJI said there was misleading information out there and it was not correct. Now, I actually told Cadex about the statement just before I published it. I simply reached out and said, hey, DJI have sent me a statement on this, and it says this. I'd confirmed with DJI beforehand that the statement wasn't that I'd put out misleading information. That I'm not going to say Cadex, but you read into that yourself. Their response to that statement was to then put out their own statement, and that statement was that you see there. Okay? They put that out. And they bolted on the bottom of that, we are working on canvas mode currently. Now, what I can tell you is this. 24 hours earlier or so, they didn't even know what bloody canvas mode was. And they had just been provided the information. And then they put a comment out saying, hey, it's we're working on canvas mode. Now, I have a message which, I'll be honest, is pretty damning on this. Now I've looked back at it, but I'm not going to put that out there. But let's just say people who have said they threw that comment on the bottom to calm things down, you're not far from the truth. So, the situation was this. I caused a crap storm. They reached out. We had some nice conversations, but it didn't really go anywhere. But I provided them info on canvas mode. DisplayPort MSP. DJI give me a statement, and the second that happened, they needed to put their own statement out, and that's what they put out. And then they had bolted on the canvas mode talking afterwards. Now, at that point in time, I am 99.9% they hadn't even looked at it. They hadn't even looked at it. Now, I've had people say, were they talking about the avatar system? Were they talking about doing something else? And the answer to that is no. My belief is they were looking at DJI at that point, but I don't know. As for timescales of where the current new system has come from, based on what I've seen, I would not be shocked if they started working on the avatar system a little bit after this whole kickoff. And they realized that they're just not going to get anywhere with DJI. That would be my bets. That would be my bets. Now, I just want to look what day Alex sent the info to them. Let me just find him. He's a great guy. If you don't know Alex, he is an absolute bloody legend, is Alex. He really is an absolute... Right, here we go. So... let me just look at the dates on this. Right. On the 31st of the 7th. No, let me just go back before that. Right, let me just find out the date. Okay, right, on the 29th. So I reached out to him on the 29th. Yeah, it was the 29th. I hadn't spoken to him for a while, and I reached out and said, no, 28th, in fact. There we go. Hey, mate, I hope you're well. After some help, there's info. Is there any info specifically around canvas mode? I have a large 3-letter company looking for info. As you added it to our drawer, I was wondering if you could help with MSP DisplayPort at all, ? And then I reached out to him the next day. Hey, mate, further to this, the engineers at Cadix who are working on DJFBZ system would like to talk to you about bringing on canvas mode. They seem to need a little direction. So what I'm going to do is show you guys this, because this is fine. I don't want to show the whole message. Alex will be fine with this because he's a superstar. There's nothing private in here. So here we are. That is the start of canvas mode. So look at the dates on this. 28th of the 7th. 29th. That is the dates. That is the fact of how the situation... I need a little direction. What do you mean by the start? Where to even start looking at implementing it? Do you want me to make it bigger? It's because of the way the message things. Yapu is an amazing bloke. So Alex is fantastic. He'll have no issues me saying this at all. That was the start. I can't. If I make it any bigger, it goes off screen because of the way the Wait there. Let me just change something. If I do something different, I suspect I know a way of making this. Yeah, here we go. I'm an idiot, is what I am. I'm an idiot. Let me change that to that. There we go. Let me open that one now. Full screen. Zoom in. That I've changed the size of the window I cut it from. There you go. There you go. That should be easier for you. There you go. So, there it is. That's it in all its glory. So that was the start of canvas mode. Right there. That is the beginnings. That is the start. I gave them the contact. That is the 28th, pardon me, the 28th of the 7th, then the 29th, and the 30th. So that is where it began. And then on the 30th, they put that out. We are working on canvas mode. Well, they'd been working on it for 24 hours. So you read into that. Now, I'm not going to share the messages because they would make them look very bad on how and why they put that out. But this was the history of when they started working on it. So, what have they now said? Well, what they've said is this. They have said that there's a new system. Now, I'm not convinced they were working on Avatar Walksnail back then. But I would not be shocked if this all triggered it. Once they realized they're losing control of the system, I suspect they were losing it. You know, that's where I suspect. So I'm not going to share the Cadex messages because that would be unfair. That was a private conversation which has info back and forth. Alex's is simply me asking Alex a question, Alex replying. I don't think Alex would have a problem with that. I hope you're well, my friend. I need to send him a message actually and say hello. But that was just that. So that just gives you the context on where this all started. And then a day later, we're working on canvas mode. Well, really. When did he tell me he sent the info to them? Let me just have a look. 29th. You should see the message. This one here I wrote is quite funny. I'll read it rather than show it because it's easier. I'm trying to get DJI to look at it, but it's a little bit complicated as it seems Cadex are doing a lot of the development. I upset them this week with some content and I called them out on some things and they have now reached out to talk. Cadex guys seem really good, but just need a little direction. I think they've not worked on this before. That's quite funny. So that's the whole Cadex thing. So the reality is today, are we expecting canvas mode, aka DisplayPort on DJI? No. However, it is not over. Just wait. There's been some stuff hinted at in the last 24 hours or so on DJI. There's some stuff I can't talk about yet. I wish I could, but I can't because I will get beaten to death by the people who've told me. They are nasty individuals who will take me out if I mention anything. But I can tell you now, it isn't over for DJI quite yet. In the past, I have been very, very dismissive of it being over. They have no interest in FPV. That has changed. Now, you can argue why that's changed. Is it Walksnail? Is it Fat Shark? Is it actually HDZero? HDZero may have changed everything simply because of the engagement they're getting. You got to remember, DJI had this wheel to themselves for a bit, and now they are very, very much growing. So DJI are not down and out. I would be really, really interested to see what comes. And I'll be honest, I wouldn't bail out quite yet, especially if you're a V2 user. I think there's some interesting times around the corner. It's a great time to be an FPV. That I can tell you. But we're going to have to wait and see, as always. But the game is afoot. The games are very, very active. It's a great time. I'll be honest. This year is going to be the digital FPV revolution. Mark my words. Now, that's funny. DJI been scared? No, I wouldn't use the word scared, but DJI like to own markets. And whilst their system was just bumbling along with no one else really involved, they will be happy. But the second there's sort of a big push on something else, then I think they will reignite interest. DJI is a complicated company. I wish I could say they weren't. They are. I can't even get them to reply to an email I've sent at the moment. That's that, you know. And in the past, I've run their Facebook groups, yet they won't even speak to me. Yeah, that will be Ronin series. That will be the RS3 will be due. There will be a new TOF camera and a new wireless system as well. Based on OcuSync, but not for FPV. That's all Ronin side. Everything you've seen so far is Ronin. That's all for the Ronin. I used to cover all of the Ronin stuff on this channel. Reason is, I used to run the Ronin Facebook group with Paul Pan, the main product manager for Ronin. Probably the only person at DJI that still talks to me. A very, 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 very nice guy. But it's all Ronin stuff. I'm not going into that. There's some stuff I know on that, but I'm not going to That's not interesting. I'd love to be involved in the Ronin stuff again. I used to. If you're a longer term viewer of the channel, you will know I've covered a lot of the Ronin stuff. I used to test the Ronin gear. I used to actually run the Ronin Facebook group with DJI. So that's where we're at with Caddock Snail Walk. 15th to 25th. No one really knows. Robin Vista, no lawsuits between the systems. DJI won't care. You got to remember, there can't be a lawsuit on something that doesn't exist yet. It can look exactly the same. Okay, here's something I will say. Okay, and I'm going to dance around this a little bit. DJI's technology is not DJI's technology. So, what I mean by that is this. OcuSync is based off LTE. DJI did not create every part of OcuSync, just like the mobile phone providers didn't create 4G, 3G, or 5G. They layer their systems off the top of it, but it is not their underlying technology, just like DJI is using someone else's underlying technology. DJI own OcuSync. OcuSync is a brand. The system is LTE based. It is based on the same systems as pretty much all of the other systems out there. And here's something I will share, and I haven't said this publicly yet, and I shouldn't get into trouble for this. Let me just grab it. This, which is here, Link, okay, this is based on the same technology as DJI. This, in fact, the core technology in this is the same core technology what is in the DJI FPV system and all OcuSync. We have found this out recently. It is all the same. What DJI are doing is nothing that special. Yes, they have their ASIC, but it's not their ASIC. They have an ASIC, but that ASIC is based on lead core technology, which is all based on some specific core pieces of IP, intellectual property, by other companies. It's all based off other people's technology. Most radio systems are. So, don't think for 1 minute someone else can't come in and do what DJI is doing. They've simply taken a bit of time to get there. Now, I just want to say a massive shout out to, where is he? I've just seen it. There it is. Rabbit Ambulance, $20 for the super chat. My friend, you are an absolute legend. I just want to say a massive thank you. Keep fighting the good fight, sir. Thank you for that, mate. I really, really do appreciate it. It's great to see 128 people here. Please do give us a like. We've only had 21, so please do give us that. I'm going to catch up on the chat. Almost said on the 7th day we tested it. We're learning that we haven't been learning enough. Blasphemy, how dare they? I thought the test on the 6th day. Instagram, he better be a bloody legend. Good evening, David. How are you? I'm running Crossfire and DJI video for my flying. Never had a loss of video or controlling. By the way, I don't push the limits. DJI firmware running on chips bought in, much like most companies do. Yeah, Mr. Huggy, absolutely. I suspect it's been customized for them, but it's all off the shelf. Because Hub is down. Any info on the DJI Action 3? I don't think we'll see a DJI Action 3 for a while. But can you imagine what would happen if you took an Action and an air unit. What would happen then? Can't imagine. Moving on. Any new hacks for the DJI FPV new firmware? I know the guys are working on something big to launch. They will say in due course. We may have something to say about that on this channel, in fact. Yeah, there will hopefully be something cool around the corner. There's been a lot of work going in to the OSD stuff. Pacific Northwest Pilot. When will we see my review on the new system? I have no systems in hand, unfortunately. I have no Walksnail, I have no DJI, I have no nothing. I don't think we're going to see anything from DJI in the next month. I think the feel I've got for DJI is probably mid to end of July. That's how it feels. That's how it feels. I'm going to ignore the last few comments. I can't possibly answer. We're good so far. There's been some stuff shared publicly in the last day. We're hoping the guys have been doing amazing work in the background. And hopefully they may have something to share. I know the Git the pull requests have been building up. That's what they're building up. But look, the reality is, guys, we don't know anything officially. Look, there's been comments in the last few days. There's been some stuff. There's rumored to be testers out there. There was a few comments put on my Discord, then removed. There was some comments elsewhere. There's a lot potentially at play here right now. Okay? There's an awful lot at play. The reality is this. Just because something's said, just because we see it, just because there's a picture, just because there's a leak, it never means it's fact until it's in your hands. Remember that. Just remember that. If you want my bet on what we'll see from a system point of view, I genuinely don't think you're going to see many changes. If DJI release a new system, I don't really think it's going to be out and out new. I think it's probably going to be a push forward. I would, my bet would be dual band, maybe 1080p mode. I don't see 4K being a thing. And then it's just tickling around the specs. Do they release a new goggles with OLED? Do they make it compatible with a new system? Do they... old system, is it compatible? Is it not? I'm not convinced we're going to see anything out and out amazing, but I also don't think things are completely over either. I think it's an interesting time, and whereas in the past I've been very much DJI are not interested, I think that's changed. What the catalyst for that change is, I don't know, but there has been a catalyst for that. But they're not talking to me in any shape or form. I don't see 4K live happening. I just don't see I think 4K live is very, very hard. If someone says so, don't believe it. Check your sources. The thing is with DJI, just because they're working on it doesn't mean it will happen. Do you know what I mean? It's just to give you an idea. I'm probably out of NDA on this now because it's a product that's on the shelf. The Ronin 4D, I was one of the very, very early feedback testers when I helped DJI. That was in 2018. If I recall, it was either 2018, it must have been 2018, it was pre-COVID. I think it was 2018. Just look how long that product took to come out. And you will be shocked. I should have images somewhere. I need to find them. I had some images of the pre-mock-ups. You'll be shocked how similar it is today. It really is very, very similar. But it took that long to come out. So you gotta, it sometimes takes some while. But look, there's a lot of great work being done by the guys. There's a lot of great work being done by many, many people out there. I think it's an interesting year. I think it's a super interesting 12 months. It really is. Right, let me just grab my phone a minute. I've left it there. I just want to check. I've had some messages, so I'm either in trouble or I'm not. Let me just have a look. I don't think I've been told off yet. Let me just check my desktop. No, I haven't. It's spam messages. I can work on something for years, but it doesn't mean it'll work and need to release product. Yeah, and that's the thing with it, you know. That's the thing with it. It doesn't mean it'll turn into something. Okay, let me just get prepped for the next thing we're going to talk about. Jonas, is the FPV out? Where is the donations going on that now? Walksnail goggles at $999. The Walksnail should be $599 as well. They were all $599. It's the depth that varies. Jonas, you here? Where's the... I need this for... Is it all via FPV out, or are you guys doing it elsewhere now? $150. Yeah, there's a lot of options. Okay, there's a lot of options. There's a lot. I just wanted to check with... I just want to make sure, because the Margarine project, you've got all these projects that are going on, and I would strongly suggest people donate to them, but I want to talk about that in a second. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is we're just going to quickly have a look at these. I finally fitted the AG01 minis. They are in, they are installed. Haven't flown with them yet, unfortunately. It's been a bit windy here. So I've got the AG01 minis in. They're installed in the radio. You can see they're all there. These gimbals are really nice. I do want to say that up front. They are really nice indeed. Some hints I can share with you guys is that there's no more tension on the Mini than there is on the standard gimbal. I know there are some people who do want more tension on the gimbals. I'm trying to see about springs that are out there. That's at maximum tension right now, and I would be honest, I don't think it's enough. I would like some more tension, but you can see them there. Let me get in a bit more. Focus. Ooh, there we go. Wait for the camera. So you can see that lovely metalwork. It's been really windy the last 2 days here. I've got the red stick ends on at the moment, which just look fantastic. They really do. And it reflects off really nice. I'll be honest, they feel bloody fantastic. They really do. You know, they really do feel good. I have to say that. There is flex doesn't exist in this gimbal. It really doesn't. It feels just perfect. It really does. Oh, look what the cat dragged in. But I haven't flown with them yet. It's been too bad. So far, I can say they are very, very nice. I think what is fair to say, though, is I'm not at this moment 100% convinced they offer a dramatic benefit over the stock gimbal. And I think the words to use with that is just how good the stock gimbal is and not any poor reflection on the CNC. The stock gimbal is very, very good. It really, really is. These are nicer. There is no question. If you want a premium gimbal on these, this is it. You know, they feel stunning. How are they at center stick? They center very well. There is a bit of an indent there. It's not heavy, but I do know people would prefer more tension than they've got. And they are on maximum tension right now. But yeah, they're really nice. You know, look, if you're wanting to turn your Zorro into the best possible version of a Zorro, they are well worth a look. But let's be realistic here. These gimbals basically cost the same amount as the radio. So you are doubling the cost of the radio. Do I think it's a $200 radio? I'm not against that. I'm not against that at all. I don't think there's an issue with it being a $200 radio. There are a couple of little mods I'd like to do on my Zorro. I want to extend these switches. They're short. Someone asked, does the Zorro have the same amount of switches as the TX16? If not, can it be modded to add more? So you've got two positions on the Zorro, two 3 positions. You've then got 2 momentary buttons. The wheels are in a stupid place. They should never have been there. Oh, God, here we go. I think Bot Grinder brings the pawn with him. I swear he brings the pawn with him. Yeah, that's a really good point. How come Bot Grinder isn't an admin? Let me solve that now. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? He's hiding here. He needs to post. I found him. I've lost him. I found him. I've lost him. Where's the bot man gone? There he is. There he is. There he is. Here we go. The bot man is... Loves us all. This is a, you know, it's not a bad radio. $200? I'm not sure. Not sure. It's a lot of money. But I like little radios. But they're in. It's a bit of a job. Make sure you set the spring tension before you put the bloody gimbals in, and just make sure you don't catch any wires. It would be easy to catch the wires on this. They travel in Bot Grinder's wake. They do. Yes. So, any questions anyone's got on that? It is a heavier radio now, and I haven't weighed it, actually, with these gimbals in. There is no question it's a heavier radio now. I can feel it. I really can. But it is very nice. It is very, very nice indeed. It's cool. Okay, so... couple of other little updates for you guys. Let me get this ready. Okay, 2 subjects to talk about here. HDZero. And the first one is there's new firmware. And they have done something I have been whinging about forever. So today, there's been a new firmware update for HDZero. Fixes the slow iNav OSD. That isn't what I've been whinging about, but it's been fixed, which is great news. They've also fixed the occasional fail to initiate camera. Good to see. They have added the VTX menu back, even if smart audio is enabled. Yes! Yes! Thank you! Thank you! Thank you very much. About bloody time. Why disable the menu when you had smart audio on? I want the option of both. Thank you, guys. You're amazing. They've added, improved some increments on that. Added temperature display for the VRX. This is really cool. If you have not seen this, there is now a temperature display for the Freestyle VTX. Let me just see if I can see the comment showing it. This is like proper cool. Oh, someone hidden it. Where's it gone? It was there. There's a temperature display now for the VRX, and it comes up and shows you the temperature of how it's behaving. Where's it gone? Someone had put it in here. All comments. I thought it was the first comment after this post went live. Where is it? Oh, someone's removed it. Also, there's this new image showing you what firmware works with what. So you do have to take into account there's been a bit of a change on the firmware layouts. So, for instance, the Whoop has one firmware. The Whoop Lite, the Race 1, and the Race 2 has another firmware. The easiest thing about them to understand is they're all using smart audio. Whilst the Freestyle runs smart audio, it's the 1 watt. So you take that into account of its own firmware. And then the TX5M.1 has its own firmware. But that does show there, which is good. I now need to find where the temperature display is. Why is that missing? Why is that missing? Why is that missing? That should be here. Where is it? It's really cool. You need it. It's very, very cool. I'm just trying to find where it's vanished to. Someone has shared an image of it. Where the bloody hell is it? Don't you hate it when things vanish that you're shown? Hey, that'll do. There we are. So that is giving you an indication of the temperature on the screen of the device. So you can see 30 degrees. So this is what you will see in the top corner now of the display. So you'll have this little display as well. VTX temperature based on that. So on the Freestyle only, just to warn you if it's overheating, basically. So that's the idea of that one. So that's good to see. It's really nice to have that out there as well. But yeah, overall, it's a good update. It's nice to see. Lots of good here. Lots and lots of good things. And the guys continue to develop the system as well. Now, there was also this interesting comment, actually, and this sort of ties into some of the work I've been doing on HDZero recently, where I've been sharing videos on repairs. If you haven't seen them, I've been uploading stuff to repair.wiki, but also showing you guys the repairs too. And there was a comment by Kevin Hanash. It's not a bad comment. Let me just try and zoom in so you guys can see it better. And a couple of people have commented on it, but it's about the failure rate on VTXs, people seeing them fail, whether it's a design flaw or whether it's an issue with the VTXs or it's an understanding of what's going on. Now, I've been doing a lot of testing on this in the last couple of weeks to try and understand what the situation is with the VTXs, why we're seeing VTXs fail, and what we can do about it. And this also actually ties in quite nicely to my talk on TVS diodes and the effect they have, and do you actually need a TVS diode on your system? Now, digital VTXs are far more complicated than analog. There is so much more on them to go wrong. If I bring up repair.wiki, okay, which is a good place for me to start, we'll go on to here, we'll go on to drones, we'll go on to the HDZero VTXs where I've been uploading the images. And if we look at the Race V1, okay, this is a good VTX to look at because it's got everything on board. So the thing to understand about this VTX is the power comes in via the pin, through the diode, through the transistor, into this 4302 regulator, which regulates it to 5 volts. It then comes out of there into this regulator, which outputs 3.3. I think that one is 3.3. And it might be 1.2, or it could be 0.9, or 1.2 and 0.9. But there are 4 voltage regulators on the HDZero. 4 separate regulators. So there is so much more to go wrong. On top of that, you've got a BGA chipset here. Okay, you've got a BGA chipset here. If we flip to the other side of the board, we've got a standard chipset. That one's QFN style, so that should be fine. But if we look around, we've got another voltage regulator down here. There's another voltage regulator over here. We've got a chipset here. There's regulators everywhere on this thing. So the potential for failure is so much higher. Okay, the potential for something going wrong, whether the board flexes in a crash and you break the balls on the BGA or you blow a regulator. Now, the understanding we're trying to get to on this is, how do we prevent this? How do we improve how reliable these devices are? So, the first thing is soft mounting. Make sure you are always soft mounting your VTX, because that will help reduce the flex in the board in the event of a crash. If it's hard mounted, that board is going to flex. The solder is so soft on these boards because it's lead free, you will crack a ball on a BGA and you will have problems. So soft mounting is number 1. Number 2, I strongly suggest Tvs diode. Now, there is a good argument to be said Tvs diodes don't make a real difference compared to a capacitor. Now, I'm doing a massive amount of testing on this at the moment. I've even bought something here. Let me show you on the overhead, right? You'll like this. This device here, let me show you this, and I've been using inductors and I've been using all sorts. This device, this little board, will generate 400 to 800 volts from 5 volt input. So this is a boost converter, but it boosts up to a very high level. And I use this to generate high voltage spikes via an Arduino. Now, I've created a program which creates an output from the Arduino, which powers the board, which creates a high voltage spike on this output. And I can do them in nanoseconds, so we can go as low as 3 nanoseconds up to milliseconds. And I've been doing a lot of testing on this with Tvs diodes, with capacitors, as well as testing on an actual drone and circuit as well. Now, today, there is no evidence based on what I have seen, based on what Wes has seen and Jay has seen, that a Tvs diode is necessary. In almost all of the results I've seen, a capacitor will absorb all of the spikes. However, as much as the evidence suggests that, I still firmly believe you should use a Tvs diode or a spike saver or whatever you want to call it. That's the Maytech one there. I've got some of these to test as well. And I strongly suggest you still use them. Now, the great thing with a spike absorber or a tester, oh God, here we go again. Is that they work far faster than a capacitor. The bit I think we're not seeing is there is circumstances that we can't test for where the capacitor won't be able to save the day, and that's where the Tvs diode will kick in. Now, just to show you this, because I've done some testing and all of this will be coming out in a video, but just to show you guys some of this, right? So this is one of the spikes generated from that board. I can't remember what the span on this spike was. I haven't got it. Oh, we're on 10 milliseconds. Well, that's about 20 millisecond spike, actually, that one. by the look of that, off the top of my head. Would that be 10 millisecond? Horizontal is... Oh, no, the full horizontal is 10 millisecond. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm not sure, actually. I would need to check. But that is a spike that has been generated from that board. And if you look, that spike's maximum is 384 volts. Okay? So the spike has been generated and produced a spike of 384 volts. If I show you the effect of adding the TVS diode, which is this one here, if you now look, it's the same spike. So let me just swap back to that one. So it's the same spike, but it's now been completely clamped. And if you look at the scale difference, so this is 100 volts per scale. So 100, 200, 300, 400, hence the reason we're getting 384. If we then look at the result with the TVS diode, we're down to 10 volt scaling, and we're 1, 2, 3 with a maximum of 32 volt. The TVS diode every single time will clamp down somewhere between 28 and 32 volts. It will always clamp down every single time. So there is no question a TVS diode can react. And every test that I've done, the TVS diode clamps every time. And it just clamps it here and shuts it down. However, and this is where the data gets complicated, a capacitor in every test prevents the whole spike. Every test that I have done, the spike doesn't make it through. So whereas the TVS diode clamps it at around 28 to 33 volts, the capacitor just absorbs it. But this is the big but. There will be scenarios where the capacitor cannot react fast enough. And as the capacitor ages, it may not clamp as well. It could be damaged. It could come loose. It could fall off. So I would strongly advise always fitting a TVS diode on the power to the VTX regardless. On the VTX every single time. My God, they are after us tonight. Now, just checking up on the chat, Bruce said, electrolytics have a relatively high induction, which produces great ESR at high slew rates. Yes, that's right. Voltage spike and a jump. A jump would last longer. You'd call a jump. A jump would be an increase permanently. A spike would be a momentary thing. Now, the thing to understand with capacitors is they're not really designed to absorb spikes. They're designed to maintain a stable supply. But spikes from interference, from motors jamming, from crashes, yes, they absorb them, but that's not their primary goal. Their primary is to smooth out. So, Jay... there he is. Testing found essentially useless. Cap was added. Yes. So, Joe Smith, obviously the amazing guy who for those of you who don't know, one of the main devs at the Express.rs team. My data is basically the same as his. When you add a capacitor, there's basically no spikes. That's the basic term of it. The capacitor just absorbs everything. So my testing so far has been with and without the cap, with and without the TVS diode, the combination of cap and TVS diode. And everything I have done so far, the capacitor has swallowed. Now, there is scenarios where the capacitor doesn't, and that is when there's high current involved. So you can induce spikes on a battery connection, for instance, on a drone. If you sort of go in poorly, you don't go in straight, and you get some movement. But is it enough to blow something? I don't know. So the evidence that I've seen, I know Wes has done tests, Jay's done tests. A capacitor does everything you need. But I still firmly think for the cost of the TVS, I would be more comfortable with it there. That's my opinion. And it is an opinion, but that is my opinion. But I would warn this, that I would put the TVS on the VTX, not on the battery input necessarily, especially if your VTX is being powered from a filtered input on the flight controller or something like that. I would still have it there. Yeah. Belt braces, pair of underpants. Yeah, I still think there's something we're not seeing, is what I would say. There is something we're not seeing. And whether this is the capacitor coming loose on a crash or something like that, there's no question that the capacitor just swallows everything. Just swallows everything. Absolutely everything. That you throw at it. It really does. Having to keep on top of the chat tonight, gents. Okay, so that's the TVS Diode talk. There will be a video coming on this. I got more testing I want to do. I've got more data I want to put together. But that is the direction I'm leaning on. As for HDZero being weak, I think there is a combination of problems here. The solder is soft as hell on all stuff these days. It really is. It really is. The solder is just so soft, it's crazy. It's just crazy. Swallows everything. Absolutely. Absolutely swallows everything. I cannot. Crashes don't generate spikes, only active braking. Yeah, I'm talking about whether it's there's active braking, but whether there's something in the event of power loss, the back, there's something. By soft, you mean brittle. Lead-free solder is soft. Brittle is a different term. I use the word soft because it's sort of, it's not brittle. Brittle is often like, I would call ice brittle. So a piece of ice you would snap. Whereas I would call it more like a Twix. When you break a Twix, the lead-free solder is softer. It still lets go easily, but it is softer. But it's not out and out sort of hard brittle is the term I'd use. Snap versus bend. Well, it tends to bend and then come off is the problem. But that's the thing on that. So that's that one. 10 times mode. Definitely 10 times mode. And if you've got one, use a differential probe. I wasn't, but I would use a differential probe. I did some checks on the differential probe first, and then once I knew what the voltages were, I continued with the normal times 10. But times 10. Definitely times 10. My scope's input is... yeah, she's 300 volts RMS, so you've got 3,000, but I'd be over the 300 without times 10 on that. On that one. On the Siglent, we'd be... what are we on the Siglent? 400 on the Siglent. So the Siglent will do 400, but yeah. Just be a little careful. Ian, me old Welsh cake, how deep is your valley, sir? Big fan. Cool cat, how are you doing? Are as bad as yours, lol. Yeah, it's really small writing on the front of them. I need to go and have a look where it is. It's very small. There. Cool. Okay, let me get something else open. I want to talk next about the open source projects, and let me just get it open as well because he sent me a message. There's Jay. There's Jay's TVS Diode testing. I did see your document. I need bigger screens. Let me open this. I'm just trying to get my pages together. I don't want that one over here. Okay. So, let me move some stuff out the way a minute just to make sure everything's tidy. And make sure there's nothing going to get caught. So, in FPV, we all use open source software. Those of us who are flying FPV quads are either running Betaflight, iNav, EmuFlight. The larger aircraft, iNav, ArdraPilot. But we've all been looking at all of these new interesting systems. We have Express LRS. But more than that, you've got amazing people like the guys who've been doing the hacking work on the FPV system. And they've all been doing this basically for free. So I just wanted to put a small piece together, and I'm going to put this out on the channel as well, as where you go to support these developers, because we are amazingly lucky in FPV that we have people working to provide us all of this amazing stuff. There are loads of companies who benefit from this. The hardware manufacturers, the flight controllers, the receivers, the transmitters, they all benefit. But it isn't always the case that the people behind the software sees the benefit as well. So I just want to say a big sort of reach out to everyone to say, if you're using some open source software, go to the website, put a one-time donation down if you can't do it recurringly, but just give something back to thank these guys for the work they're doing. Now, if I hop over to the desktop, first of all, we're going to start with the big one, which is Betaflight. Most of us here will be using it. It's there. If you want to donate to the Betaflight project, if you scroll all the way to the bottom of the homepage, there is a section down here where you can donate now via PayPal. You can become a Patreon, or you can support it through development. They have their Patreon page for people who want to support that way, so you can go to it directly, but you've also got a PayPal donate as well if you want to do it. $1, $5, $10, every dollar helps. And just again, thanking them for the amazing work these guys are doing. The next big one for me is these amazing people here, is the guys over at the Express LRS community. What they have done in the last year plus, but year especially, has been nothing short of unbelievable. The development rate, the support, everything is fantastic. They are doing it at a higher rate than any of the others I've seen. They are really fast on it. And if you want to support them, they have a page on the Open Collective. You can donate individually. I've done it there myself before, but you can then back via a monthly payment as well. It can be as little as $1, $10, just something to thank them for what they're doing. If you are using Express LRS, you're paying for the hardware, consider it, give them some money to thank them for what they're doing. Every dollar helps. It really is that simple. For me, these are the two big ones, but there is one more I'm going to mention in the same run as these for me, and this is the FPV.FTW guys. These are the guys who have brought you margarine. These are the guys who will be the ones who are responsible for if the V1 system from DJI gets OSD. These guys deserve your support as well. So again, please support them. But there's another reason I want you to support these as well. We are likely to have some new systems coming soon from many manufacturers. That might be DJI. That might be Walksnail, Fat Shark. We need these guys to keep doing what they've been doing, because you cannot trust the manufacturers. You cannot trust the companies to do the right thing. Just look at the history. Just look at what Cadex wanted to do. Just look at what these companies wanted to do locking down the DJI system. Without the work these guys have done, we would not have a system. And don't be under any illusion, right, that if any new system DJI bring, you're going to have NACO. Okay? The 1200 milliwatt, the 700 milliwatt hacks, they were not created by the community. Okay? They came from the manufacturer. But don't assume anything new will have that as well, and we may need these guys to do it. So the first big three is Betaflight, again at the bottom of the page, Express LRS, because these guys are just astonishing via the Open Collective, and also the FPV WTF community. If you're an Emu Flight user, you should also support them as well. Emu Flight has been growing. It isn't something I've used dramatically myself, but it is out there. But you can support those guys via Patreon as well. They have a Patreon link available, so please do check it out. The Patreons are there, so if you're an Emu Flight user, please do check them out and support them. And that stands as well for Ardra Pilot. Ardra Pilot is one of the long and old tooth ones here now. They are one of the ones that have been around for quite some time. Let me just hide that user from the channel. Ardra Pilot, they've been one of the long-standing ones. They've been around a very long time. There has been a lot going on with them in recent years for those who don't understand the whole drone code element and all of this. And again, please do consider supporting them. They have a donation link, which I found earlier. It's on the Copter page. You can do PayPal Donate Direct, which is here. You can do PayPal donations via SPI, or you can do it that way there too. When I cut this, I will be putting the links to all of these in the description. Now, there is one more open source system, which is iNav, but I cannot find any official donate page for iNav. I would love to put here something for iNav right now, but I can't find it. If anyone has it, can you put it in the chat? If anyone knows where it is, I will find it. I will put it in, but I cannot find a link to it. Now, I know Pavel has his stuff, but I don't know if there's an official link to it at all. I'll have to reach out to them and ask them. I didn't have it up front, but again, if you want to support the project, please do reach out to them. I know Pavel does like a lot on iNav now, so perhaps you might want to support him direct, but I don't want to say that against the other developers. So my argument personally would be to support the project on this one and support Pavel via his YouTube, etc. if you want to do it that way. Pavel or Powell, I always struggle. He's a good guy. But you can support it that way as well. iNav don't care. They do it regardless of the money. Yeah, and that's an interesting comment, right? All of these guys do it regardless of the money. Express LRS, Betaflight, FPV, WTF. They all did it for the money. They don't do it for the money. They all did it for the money. They all did it for the money. They all do it for the love of FPV. However, you really do want to support them if we can. Now, someone has just said it's in the configurator for iNav. Perhaps I've missed it there. Let's have a look. So in iNav, contributing, fixes and improvements, helping out. I still don't see it. I'm in the configurator. Document and support. I don't see it there. They do it because they love the hobby. But again, we don't want to take them for granted. We want to make sure that they're all supported. So, for me, guys, please support the project. If you're starting out and you're spending 80 quid on a flight controller, 100 quid on motors, please consider sparing $10 for the devs. Please, please, please. So, that's it. Blue Jay. Blue Jay is another one. I haven't used it extensively, but I am using it now. So, Blue Jay is another one as well. Again, if you're using open source, when you download it, toss them $5. Once a year, just a thank you, just something to make sure that we all continue to benefit from it in the future. So, that's my little bit of a rant on that one. It was just to get that out the way. Just catching up on the chat. I see the porn bots have re-arrived. We need to ask Pavel on iNav. I haven't tried the 7-inch presets on Betaflight yet. I really haven't. Let me just check up. Right, guys. If you've got any questions, please do let me know. Please do put them in the chat. If there's anything else you want to know, please do put it in. From my point of view, this week, I am going to be putting out the... When I finish it, I need to go flying a couple of times just to get my head around these gimbals, just to have some thoughts on them, and then I'm going to share it. But there will also be an installation video coming out. That will be soon. How do I feel that digital is all going to be a closed-off ecosystem, going to miss the days where it didn't matter? That is something... Yeah, I expect it to happen. Mike Bergman, Whoop Light shouldn't be long. So, just a quick one. Mike Berg, I'll come back to that question now. So, Mike Bergman, the Whoop Light should not be long. The last I heard, Carl was doing some more QC testing to make sure it was fine. Local time here is nearly 11:30 at night. Support the devs and creators. I appreciate and enjoy. Hamad, Oddsy, how do I feel about digital all going to be a closed-off ecosystem, question mark? Going to miss the days where it didn't matter what VTX used, it mattered what goggles. Yeah, digital was always going to be fragmented. It's always likely to be the case. Is there room for an open source video? Yes, we have it. We have OpenHD. But right now, it's not where it needs to be. Now, that isn't to say it won't be in the future. But today, it isn't. It is a complicated situation. Unfortunately, it is a reality of a digital world. And whilst I know it doesn't have to be, the reality is it is, and it is likely the way it will be moving forward. It's likely the way it's always going to be, if I'm honest. But we're going to have to see. How I feel about it is I've accepted it for the benefit. The benefit it brings, I accept it comes in a closed garden. That's just the reality. Yeah, there's a lot. OpenHD has a lot of potential, and there is a lot of good silicon around the corner which could really make a difference. There is a lot of potential on it. And I know a lot of people are looking at it right now. So that's the thing on that. Okay, guys. If you've got any questions, as I've said, please do put them in the chat before we wrap this one up. 76 likes, 161 viewers. If you are new here, please do consider hitting the subscribe button. And don't forget to give us a like. I'm going to do a bit of shilling at this point as I've got you all here. If you don't know, this channel is supported by you guys, the amazing people who support us on a weekly basis. We do have a Patreon as well as a Buy Me a Coffee account. There is a link to them in the description of all of my videos, including this one. If you don't know, you can support us via those methods as well. I want to say a massive thank you to my patrons, actually, because we've had a huge uptake in Patreon in recent times. A massive uptake in Patreon in recent times. It has been fantastic. It really, really has. We have the Patreon account, which is this one here, where you have the ability to support us on a monthly basis. But we also have something called Buy Me a Coffee. And if you don't know what Buy Me a Coffee is, it's really cool. It is that. You can just buy me a coffee if you want to do it and support the channel as well, which is great. There is also the odd link in some of my videos as well. I don't use a lot of affiliate links. The only ones I have been using is RunCam because I've done a special change for them and I want to see how that goes. And I'm interested in doing that. And alongside these, I have been thinking about whether I need to do anything else. I know, you know, there has been so many ways people have been making content and supporting content in the past, and I'm trying to think up ways of doing that. Hi, Jason. Will you be putting this stream and last week's on the Patreon? Yes, I will do it tomorrow night. Sorry, I didn't do last week's. It was a bit busy. This has been the most interactive live stream I have been involved with. Awesome. Thank you, my friend. I can't say your name, but thank you. Ruler updates. Yes. I don't think we're going to be able to continue that project. Okay, I'll give you guys a bit of an update. So I've shipped a couple more of the ones that have gone out this week. There's a problem. And the number one problem is postage from the UK is completely prohibitive. It is just insane. To give you an idea, I just shipped those boards back to that user and the 2 HDZero boards, and that cost me for basic postage to the US from the UK 10 quid. I just cannot make the cost viable at this moment in time. I just can't. I don't know what the solution is. The product quality that I've got here is okay. For those who haven't seen it, let me grab one. Nearly fell off my chair. For those who haven't seen it, it's this. It's Mads Tech FPV ruler. This is one of the ones which isn't particularly good, if I'm honest. There's some marks on the paint on this one, so this is one that won't be able to go out. You can see it there, the marks. Can you see as I tilt it? This one's got marks on it. The first batch didn't have these. This is the real frustration, right? Let me show you this. So this is one of the first ones which had all the faults, okay? So everything was wrong on this. That came like that, which it shouldn't have, and there was mistakes all over it. But the paintwork finish on this one is just perfect, okay? That's just scratch where I've marked it up there, right? Okay, but the overall paintwork finish on these ones, the first batch, was unbelievable. Unbelievable. It was perfect. Absolutely fine. Whereas the paintwork on the second batch, which are fine, have got marks all over them. You've got these spots here and here, which I wasn't happy with. And, yeah. Now, let me just get the camera to focus. There you go. So this was the ruler I created for the channel. The plan was to sell them. But at the moment, I'll be honest, guys, the postage is going to be... I just can't make it work. I just can't make it work based on the world we're in today. If we then look through, you've got... This is one of the worst ones. You can see the marks all over it. Look, I was not happy with this one at all. You've got the channel scales, the voltage scales on this, but it's still, the backside just looks fantastic. If I show you the back of this thing, it just looks... unbelievable. It really does. We're going to do... I'm probably going to have to do another batch. Yeah, international sucks. That's the problem. The international is just impossible for me. But yeah, that's the backside. I have some here. I do have some. This is one which I can't hand out. This will be my one on the bench. I've got two in the house that are slightly damaged as well, which is annoying. The corners have been caught on them. The boards are good, but the corners were caught. To tin the board if I got one. It's good news for UK customers. Yeah. I have got some here, but the quality on these I was not happy with overall. The ones that have gone out, I hand-picked the best at the batch, and then they're going down. I'm so lucky to have mine, but I'm afraid to use it as a ruler. Haha. But yeah, it's PCB. It's made of an actual PCB. So the cost of production on these is high. The cost of production is not cheap. Depends on how many I buy them in. They are costing... they were not cheap. I can't remember what it was, but they were not cheap. Because they are big, and they are long, and they're big boards. But I have to try and figure out a solution to the postage for international. David, I need to send you yours. You've paid. Yours needs to be sent. Can you send me your address? Because you've paid for yours. I was giving you one anyway because David looked after me a while back, invited me to that amazing event. But I have yours put to one side, David. You need to send me your address so I can post it to you. And I need to send Dave his as well. Yeah, message me your address. I'll get it out this week. So that's the score with the ruler. It's a complicated scenario. The postage is it's the costs of things in the UK for anyone who I don't know. Okay, I'll have a bit of a rant here. I love you and my American friends. Don't whinge about cost of fuel. Don't whinge about electricity. Right? For those who know, I do a little bit of mining in the background, and I was laughing because they were complaining at the cost of electricity and their energy. I worked it out. They were complaining at 5p a kilowatt. And if anyone's in the UK, you will know what the cost of electricity is over here. I'm paying about 19p a kilowatt, and I'm on a 18-month-old deal. Today, we're probably 23, 24p a kilowatt in the UK, and fuel has just hit £2 a litre. So in dollars, a litre, that's probably $2.50 roughly a litre. China's USA, free postage, UK USC, sell your house and maybe you can pay. Yeah, it is shocking. It is absolutely shocking, the UK to the US at the moment. It really is. But yeah, I love our American friends, but I saw some of the fuel. I saw some of the fuel costs. Crazy. Gas in Idaho today is $5.37. Is that a gallon? Oh no. What's that? It has gone. Perhaps is it caught up over there? Over here, we're paying 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 £10 a gallon. Right now, yeah, it's also the VAT thing's a big problem in the UK. Yeah, it's crazy over here right now. Pricing is just hit nuts. Just hit crazy levels of everything. It really has. And we're going to feel that in FPV, guys. It's coming. You know, don't expect anything that's coming to be cheap. I promise you that. I promise you that. You know, everything that's coming is going to have a cost associated with it. It's difficult. So, okay. I'm going to call it a day. Next week, we'll be back. Same time, same place. I want to thank every single one of you who've been here tonight. You're amazing. I want to thank everyone on Patreon who has been supporting the channel recently, everyone through Buy Me a Coffee, every subscriber. We smashed the 29,000. We are on the road to 30k, possibly even in June. Possibly even in June. We're going to get to the 30k. Let me just hide that user on the channel. As of this moment, before I finish up, I'm just going to check what it is. We smashed that level. Studio. Let me just check what it says in studio. Right now, it's saying 29,8081. So we're almost at 100. We may hit it in June, probably July. It's the 12th. There's time. There is time for it to happen in July. I have to do something for 30k. I don't know what it is. I need to come up with a solution on what I'm going to do for 30k. But I want to say a massive, massive thank you to everyone. I am in Southwest Wales. I want to say thank you to everyone who got us past the 29. The 29 was amazing. If I fly a drone thing, I'll lose 10,000 subscribers. You will get it. We did saw the improvement, hiding lives in the video list, hiding the lives. We did, but we've now stopped because YouTube have fixed that. So YouTube have fixed the issue of the lives having an effect on videos. They actually categorize them separately now. We're not far off there. We're nearly there. I'd like to do something like a giveaway, but I don't know what, and B, again, you're only helping one person, so I don't know what to do. I really don't know. I did think about doing a giveaway of the ruler, but it would cost me, even with this many people watching, it would cost me over £1,000, close to £1,000 to send them, which is just the insanity. It's just crazy. So I need to come up with a solution, but I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who supports the channel. You're amazing. Stay safe. We will be back same time, same place next week. Walksnail may have even shipped by then. Users will have this first. Do I do stickers? I don't do stickers. Perhaps I should do a sticker. Perhaps I should do a sticker or something. But anyway, same time, same place next week. Look after yourself. Thank you for staying with me, and I will speak to you again soon. Stay safe.